How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So today, we're jumping into probably the most popular Game Boy Pokemon ROM hack that has ever graced the internet, and that is Pokemon Prism, the sequel to Pokemon Brown. I asked in the normal type Nuzlocke video I did for Pokemon Brown version last month, what type you guys would like me to do in the future, and the majority of people were telling me the rock type. It makes sense, our starter is Larvitar and we have no other choices. Seems like a pretty easy solution to me. As for the rules of the challenge, they're located in the description, but simply put, if Pokemon faints, I can no longer use it. I can only catch the first rock-type Pokemon in each area with Dupe's Claws in effect, and I must nickname all of my Pokemon, and in addition we've got the hardcore rules of no items in battle, but held items are allowed, no leveling past the next gym leaders or Elite Four's ace Pokemon at the start of the battle, and I must play on set mode. Before we get into the challenge though, I want to let you know that if you want more videos from me, check out both my second channel where I do Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG content, as well as the collaborative Beast Coast Pokemon channel featuring myself, Aaron Cybertron Zhang, James Beck, and Celio's Network, where we have a ton of different variety content when it comes to Pokemon, whether it be VGC, TCG, Unite, you name it, it's probably on that channel, along with a few exclusive challenges that you guys have not seen if you haven't checked that out. I'd also appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel, gave the video a like, let's aim for 2,500, and if I can ask one more thing, leave a comment below with what ROM hack you'd like to see next and the type associated with it. I'm always looking for new ROM hacks to try and new ideas to go after. Without further ado though, let's get into the challenge. So right off the bat, this is the most beautiful game I've ever seen on a Game Boy Color. I am playing it on an emulator, but the fact that repro cartridges actually make this function on a console surprises me immensely. With that said, I can set the year and date, customize my character with a nice blue-green color balance to represent the nature of this channel's branding, and name myself Cha before emerging out in a camp. Apparently I'm playing as Lance's son, which is pretty neat in and of itself, and I'm blocked out from getting back to the camp by a landslide. Well then, venturing onward, I find myself in a cave where I get Larvitar as my starter, going through and encountering a Shinx, which is pretty good looking for a Gen 2 era sprite. And oh my lord, that's Intimidate. They got abilities working. That is incredible. This game is already exceeding my expectations. Looks like I'm gonna have to be more on my toes than I had initially planned though, since Gen 2 doesn't normally have abilities, and having to play around those is going to add a completely different level to this Nuzlocke. Moving ahead, I arrive in Caper City, swing by the professor's lab, and get sent off to Route 69, nice, to rescue his friend's Bagon. Unfortunately, our soon-to-be rival has gotten a hold of it, so I kick it down with a few tackles and leers, seeing as I do not want to power up Bagon's rage more than I have to, winning quickly and being sent back to get the Pokedex. Now, I wouldn't mind giving a Professor Oak's challenge a shot in this game, but that's not the goal now, as I can grab some Pokeballs for my first actual encounter. On the tunnel on Route 70, I can go ahead and capture myself a Geodude or Aron, but I get the former. Probably the better one for now, since Steel type isn't going to help us for a time, but it's pretty cool that we can get an encounter right here in the Region Tunnel, the one that we saw in the video last time. Moving on through Routes 71 and 72, where a number of trainers are, none of which provide any semblance of trouble, so it's an easy path into Oxalis City, the home of the first gym. I appreciate that they give you a type advantage with your starter right off the bat here, seeing as Larvitar's rock type and this is a fire gym, but I'm not quite at the level cap yet, so I head into the optional trainer hall to have some fights. And these go well at first, but then I'm forced to remember that abilities exist in the game, despite having just learned that 20 minutes ago, as Larvitar gets trapped in by Trapinch's Arena Trap, god that was a hard sentence to say, getting KO'd before I even get a single badge. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna reset here, since I'm only about a half hour into the game, and I'm not gonna force a run that had such a stupid mistake this early on. Either way, I do all that stuff again, just short of fighting the trainer with the Trapinch, getting both Geodude and Larvitar to level 12 before challenging the leader Josiah. He's got two Pokemon, first of which is Charmander, so I go with Geodude, getting outsped as he sets up Sunny Day, but no problem for me as Rock Throw gets a one-shot KO, leading to Slugma. I don't trust that I'll one-shot this with Rock Throw, so I rather go for Mud Slap in the off chance that the accuracy deprivation here means that his attack misses. It connects for a little over a third, but his attack Ember still hits, doing around a third of Geodude's HP, but it doesn't burn me, so I hit Rock Throw next turn for the KO and the win. Well shoot, that was the start that I was looking for. Speaking of which, why not take some time to start playing today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends? Join me in one of the best games for iOS and Android with over 600 legendary champions and create the best team possible to get through various different situations like raid bosses, dungeon runs, campaign battles, and PvP. Personally, I really enjoyed the colorful effects and movement mechanics of each of the characters, and my top 3 reasons that you should play Raid are advanced graphics true to a console-level experience, a wide variety of powerful champions, and maps full of strange bosses, dangers, and surprises. This month, Raid is celebrating its 3rd anniversary, and it's going to be huge. They've got an insane amount of free gifts for everybody, plus a bunch of new champions, new artifact sets, and a fully personalized video showcasing your Raid journey. If that's not enough, they've got a full month of special events and tournaments, with some of Raid's best ever prizes on offer, including badass champions, piles and piles of shards, and tons of other goodies. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click my link either in the description or scan my QR code here on screen, you can get 2 bonuses, a bonus for new players only, and a bonus for both new and returning players. You'll get a special birthday package worth $40. Yeah, we're talking 3 free champions at once. Misericord, Tiger Soul, Romero, plus 10 Magic XP Brews, 10 Force XP Brews, and 10 Spirit Brews. That's huge! And since it's Raid's birthday, the gifts keep coming. All new and existing players can get a bunch of free birthday gifts worth over $25. Once you're in-game after clicking on the links, just enter promo code 3YearsRaid to get your hands on everything. All of this treasure will be waiting for you here. Thank you once again to Raid for sponsoring today's video. Definitely give them a shot if you haven't already, and let's get further into the challenge. Before heading out, I made sure to get 20 brick pieces, seeing as they're needed further up in the game, as well as a ton of repels, since we've got another dungeon to head through here shortly. However, the dungeon needs both a fire and an electric type to get through. Thankfully, the next route has Mareep and Vulpix conveniently available as a common encounter, both of which I capture for the purpose of using in the dungeon before heading through the trainers and getting into Mound Cave. Mr. Burt is here and on the phone, so I tap him on the shoulder so that my rocks can smash his face, leading off with Larvitar against his Paris. Sandstorm is my first goal here, then Rock Throw, KOing in one shot and leading to Sneasel, who hits Icy Wind for half damage as Rock Throw misses. Well, I can't swap because Geodude will die, so I have to hope for a low roll here, and sure enough, I did get one of those, surviving on 1 HP and KOing with Rock Throw. This leaves just Bagon, so I swap immediately, taking a bite on Geodude for 6 damage as the Sandstorm ends, taking a Leer as Geodude lands Rock Throw, hitting another, but it doesn't KO. So if Bagon flinches with Bite here, I lose the game anyway, but it doesn't, allowing for Mud Slap to land in the KO, getting me through by the skin of my teeth. The cave isn't just barren beyond this point and puzzle-filled, however it does have a neat little area where it's kind of like The Legend of Zelda 1 when you go in those areas in the dungeon where you get the extra items. It's really cool that it actually does this side-scrolling thing, but anyway, we have our first interaction with the Palette Patrollers in this area. Essentially, they're Power Rangers. It's neat, it's a carryover from the last game, but they also use Pokemon with the same type and color of their suit. There's quite a number of them in here as well, first of which is Palette Black, leading with Houndour and getting KO'd by Rock Throw immediately after landing Leer. Second is Eevee, hitting a single sand attack and already causing misses, so I swap into Geodude and get put to sleep immediately. Well, this is gonna be fun. I just sit here to get out of sleep, which thankfully happens with only status moves like Leer and Sand Attack landing. And yeah, really nothing more to say about Eevee other than it's an annoying bastard using a ton of status moves as I attempt to hit it. May as well call this one Bully Maguire with the amount of sand attacks it uses.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Last out is Shuppet, and this one's simple. 2 Rock Throws does it, but I miss one of them with Larvitar. taking some surprisingly strong astonishes, but Geodude's able to come in and clean up, KOing and winning the fight. Second in line is Palette Green, leading with Natu as I just rock throw it out of the game after taking a Leer, leading to another Eevee. Oh, great, time for another Sing and accuracy deprivation. At least this one's using Quick Attack and doing some damage instead. It gets Larvitar to just over half HP as Rock Throw lands twice, so I swap, taking a Quick Attack and Sand Attack on Geodude, and miraculously land a Rock Throw for the KO. Last out is a Larvitar of his own, so I swap over to Mud Slap, but of course Geodude can't land a single attack to save his life after one lowering of his accuracy, taking 3 Mud Slaps before being too weak to continue and landing absolutely nothing, forcing me to swap into my own Larvitar, thankfully hitting Mud Slap twice in a row before he could stack up too much, KOing and winning. These guys are surprisingly difficult. I wasn't going to go over them originally since I figured they were just the team grunts of this game, but turns out they're more like admins. Third is Pink, who leads with Whismur, and since it's part sound type, retaining the additional 5 typings from Pokemon Brown, it's a bit more wonky to deal with, but upon using a Sandstorm and 2 Mud Slaps, it's at the perfect HP for me to swap into Geodude on the KO turn from the Sandstorm, going into yet another status Eevee. Seriously, get this thing's accuracy down before I start to lose it. Sing lands somehow through 3 Mud Slaps, of course, so I'm just sitting here like a dumbass until Geodude wakes up and lands another 2 Mud Slaps, but at this point I'm too encumbered by Sand Attack, so I swap back into Larvitar, landing Rock Throw to KO and leave just his Porygon. Mud Slap's gonna be my best friend here since the abnormal type is also a bit of an oddity, but I am able to single-handedly KO the computer program with a few Mud Slaps and a Rock Throw to top it off. The penultimate patroller here is Blue, and I'm sure you can guess he uses a water type by that suit color. He leads with Zubat though, so that's an easy KO with Rock Throw on Larvitar, leading to, you guessed it, Eevee. Let's just ignore this. I hate Sing, I hate Sand Attack, but what I mostly hate is the fact that the follow-up Tentacool outspeeds my entire team and one-shots everything with Bubble. I did not expect the weakest water type move in the entire game to screw me over so hard. I guess there's only one way to solve this, though, and that's by going into the next real attempt by getting Aron out of the Ridgeon Tunnel rather than Geodude, seeing as I can just get a Geodude in the Mound Cave itself and boost my team up to 3 members as opposed to 2. Josiah was a little bit weird with the Steel typing, but Larvitar was more than enough to handle both Charmander and Slugma, so I didn't really have to deal with that problem. And once I made it back to Palette Blue, I just had Aron pretty far up to level 18 out of 21 for the level cap, using a few Mud Slaps to get through on half HP. Thank goodness, because I was kind of worried about being stuck behind a stupid Tentacool of all things. After grabbing Geodude and grinding it up to the rest of the team though, I'm ready for the areas ahead, though there isn't much in between Spurge City, the area I'm spit out at the end of Mound Cave, and the next gym. The gym's up ahead in the next town, with Route 74 blocking my way, as well as Palette Red finally making an appearance separate from his team. He is a fire user, so of course, this is a much easier battle than the other 5 members in Mound Cave. Oh, yeah, I guess I forgot about Palette Yellow. I didn't get to that one since I was so focused on Blue when I was recording, so it didn't make it in. Whoopsie. Red leads off with Growlithe as I go with Geodude, setting up a few Mud Slaps before getting brought to low HP, swapping into Aron in preparation for a second Pokemon after KOing with Dust Devil, an 80 power, 100% accuracy Rock-type move. Second is Galdeen. Yeah, that's a big ol' threat, and of course it outspeeds and lands Supersonic, though Aron's able to hit Dust Devil for over half without hitting itself. Then the next turn comes Rain Dance, which unfortunately Aron does hit herself here, taking a Water Gun next turn for around 70% and leaving only one chance to land an attack. And we're able to get through with Dust Devil, KOing and leaving just Eevee. You guys already know how these Palette Eevees go. I just swap into Larvitar, slap it with some mud a few times to lower the accuracy, growth be damned, finishing it off with Dig after taking a single quick attack to win the match. Anyway, I'm not going to be going over these fights every single time they come up since that's a ton of battles, but they are definitely fun fights. Anyway, Heath Village's gym is right ahead, and it's its own forest with wild Pokemon, which is pretty neat. Not to mention, it's a grass-type gym. Yeah, I am completely and utterly screwed. Bellsprout and Butterfree on the first trainer aren't at least too terribly difficult to take out. but the next trainer is the end of the line for me. I cannot physically get through this fight. Cacnea hits too hard with Absorb, and Aron gets used too much up to this point to go against water and grass types as a miracle worker, and it overlevels. Not to mention Mega Drain from the second Pokemon in Shroomish one-shots everything except for Geodude since it has Sturdy, but it doesn't even matter since she outspeeds and KOs me. Larvitar also ends up going down, and I'm stuck with an overleveled Aron, so I can't continue. Now, this battle was technically optional. I ran into it expecting me to be able to win, and I went ahead and tried the gym leader at the level cap just to see if this challenge was worth continuing after a reset, and nope, not in the slightest. Everything dies, even Aron, so I can definitively state that Pokemon Prism using only rock types is another one of those unfinishable runs. And let's use this as a learning experience for those in the comments who leave suggestions, as there should be at least a little research done beforehand in order to make sure these runs are possible, and that's by looking over these 3 criteria. Number 1, does the type have a balanced number of encounters, or are you stuck with 1 or 2 Pokemon for 75% of the adventure? For instance, one of the Nuzlockes of the main series games that you haven't seen on YouTube yet from any of the creators that do this is of Pokemon Platinum version using only Ice types, and that's simply because there's only 5 of them available throughout the whole game, those being Snover, Sneasel, Swinub, Snorunt, and Glaceon. Almost had a pattern there. Jokes aside, the earliest any of these are available is Route 216, just after the 6th gym, and a ton of them share the same areas, meaning you're restricted to only around 2 to 3 encounters at best. Plus, it's not really an Ice-type Nuzlocke if 70% of the game is using non-Ice types. I have a massive chart with every type from each mainline title and whether or not people have done videos on them, and the blank ones from the main series tend to either be A, they have a remake so they went after those instead, or B, the typing just doesn't have enough encounters to sustain a fair Nuzlocke. Pokemon Black and White are notorious for this due to the lack of diversity from Pokemon Pre-Badge 1, housing exactly 11 Pokemon, including evolutions, and the first gym will always be super effective against your elemental type of choice. The Dream Yard doesn't give you a choice of monkey, so that's useless 100% of the time, and the only type that actually has multiple encounters is the normal type with Lillipup and Patrat, and likely the only typing you're going to be able to use completely vanilla without changing your starter using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer. Dark type as well because of Purloin, but I digress. Criteria number 2 is a pretty easy one to check for as well, and that's if there is an early game gym leader that hard walls you due to a lack of coverage TMs and subtypings. For instance, Pokemon Fire Red with only fire types is impossible due to the first 2 gyms being complete hard walls to the fire type, as Furious Challenges manages to show in their 8-minute video made late last year. The lack of encounters matched with the inability to get coverage moves to take care of threats makes it impossible to do with level caps. Another example of this is Emerald with Steel types, one I did on this channel a few months back. Even as late as gym number 4, if you are hard-walled by a typing that you do not have the ability to hit back without either sustaining massive losses to the team or just whiting out, there's no chance of finishing the run. The last criteria is a bit more specific to the YouTube side of things, because it lies in a balance of, is the video fun, and is it doable within a few days for a weekly video? This is why you don't see things on my channel like Radical Red, the Kaizo games, with the exception of Professor Oak challenges, Vintage White, and many other really difficult ROM hacks. And it's because I cannot physically make a video in those games within a week. Even just a vanilla hardcore Nuzlocke, it's just not possible. For instance, one of those in the list, Vintage White, was done by a creator by the name of Doc Z at the end of 2021. But that video took him months to put together, to the point where he had started on an outdated version from June when the video was released in December. That's just not feasible when people like myself are doing this full time, so I'd much rather gear ROM hack choices towards the more fair, main series-esque games like Brown, Prism, Fluorosky, etc. Speaking of Prism itself, I looked through the available list of encounters in order to come back to this game in the near future to give you guys a full sense of how the game is, and Water is a great example of a typing that works well. Despite the second gym leader being a grass user, Slowpoke is available in the Mound Cave, being able to take care of the poison subtypings on Mons like the Ace Venusaur, not to mention being backed by the Fairy subtyping on Marill and Grass subtyping on Lotad. There's a great amount of diversity that allows for the run to be much more viable than this one. I'll likely tackle that one in the near future, maybe like 2 months down the line, but next time we hit up a ROM hack for Hardcore Nuzlocke, it'll be with Pokemon Gaia using only ghost types. It's one of the few types that I haven't done a video with whatsoever, and I can assure you that with a dozen encounters in that realm, it should be absolutely enough to take down the game, and it still be challenging. See you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to click on this other one on screen. You'll probably enjoy it too. And if you really enjoyed the content and want to help support the creation of it, you can head over to my Patreon page and help support for as little as $1 per month. Speaking of which, shoutouts to my $5 and above patrons: Anna Keenum, Marshmallow, Aaron Ryansmith, Cryptic Gamer, Heimflow, Jacob Johnson, Casper Kirkpatrick, Owen Maloney, Leon Matog, Zeno, Zachary Keever, Scotty, Arantula, Andy, Joshua Johnson, and Justin Dimmenstein. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.